Hi, this is James with a video on Naughty Dog's The Last of Us. The Last of Us is a narrative-driven third-person adventure game that blends different genres together into its play experience. Its narrative presentation is remarkable for its strong production values and performance talent, while its game design uses understated patterns of training and recall to make later encounters intelligible in light of earlier encounters. While the cinematic and interactive modes engage players differently, one as audience and the other as participant, they combine to create a coherent experience over a long playtime of multiple sessions. The game progressively introduces the player to a variety of enemies, training the player into understanding that different enemy types require different tactics to overcome. During the first level in Boston, successive encounters with uninfected enemies, specifically smugglers and military personnel, escalate the challenge not through enemy strength but through increasingly complex level designs with varied pathways that allow enemies to surround Joel while also giving him avenues for retreat. In the third city setting, the Hunter faction takes the foundation established in Boston and elaborates upon it. Rather than mob Joel at once, Hunters will alert each other to Joel's presence and communicate regarding his vulnerabilities and last known location. They'll surround his position to pinch him from the front and from behind. Distinct from infected enemy types, they will not rush him at once, preferring to drive him from hiding with Molotovs and melee fighters so that they can shoot him after flushing him out. We're going to look at ways to negotiate one specific set piece within the Hunter City on Survivor mode. Joel and Ellie have reunited after a brief separation, and Joel has instructed Ellie on how to lay cover fire with a rifle as he goes to handle a group of hunters in person. Survivor mode becomes manageable the more you take down enemies using stealth. Ideally, wherever you are on the map, you should remain unseen for the duration of these following conversations. The hunters disperse to look for Joel, so use these conversations as a timer to gauge when you should be in a location that gives you the greatest advantage.
Watch the gate. All right, you heard him.
Ellie will snipe from a location 3 floors above Joel's starting position. And this is showing that this is in fact Survivor difficulty. This encounter features more enemies than Joel can realistically put down at once, so you'll want to use Ellie's cover fire to your advantage. Note that enemies will not take cover against Ellie or turn to attack her when she's laying cover fire. The Last of Us isn't without its own share of video game logic. In this instance, though, it has a greater degree of plausibility than the fact that your partners are invisible while sneaking. Ellie only fires when the hunters are chasing Joel, and these guys aren't operating with the same kind of psychic co-op powers as the PMCs are in Metal Gear Solid 4. Much like the concept of MGS4, she uses the combat situation as camouflage for her own attacks. The hunters have no way of knowing whose gun went off, and they're firing at Joel anyway, so it makes a bit more sense here that she's innocuous. You can stay in Joel's starting position until the hunters disperse, but I don't recommend it. If you get in trouble, the hunters will try to flush Joel out, and if they crowd around your starting location, Ellie has no clear shot. I recommend stealth as a starting strategy. The bow and arrow makes no report, so it will not alert others to your position. You also have a chance of recovering ammo from downed enemies. The obstacles in the center of the level provide Joel with close-range cover, but they also make him blind to half the level. Start by circling the perimeter to minimize the number of angles that you can be seen from. I find it's a good idea to head into this busted-up cafe first. If you've got a head start on blade parts, you can scavenge enough supplies here to modify a close-range weapon, and there's also some health. 2 or 3 guards are usually patrolling inside the downstairs or around its perimeter. Behind the bar is a great place to hide and catch at least one of them by surprise. While Survivor doesn't give you X-ray vision, you still have a kind of underwater warbling sound that intensifies as Joel becomes more open to enemy perception. Here's an example. When it reaches that pitch, you've been seen. Be aware that enemies are in a state of alert when the percussion picks up. Even if Ellie's shots don't kill hunters right off, they'll still have a stagger effect. Here, Ellie shoots a hunter coming around this car, and Joel picks him off as he recovers from the blow. Running away is as much a risk as staying in one spot when you've been detected. Pay attention to where enemy bullets hit the environment. Hide behind whatever they hit or a similarly positioned barrier. Just make sure you hide from the direction where their shots must have logically originated. During this fight, if you scavenge enough material from the environment to craft a weapon, think in terms of your immediate needs. This here is an enclosed space with tight corners and multiple entrances. The pike is better for controlling a small space and even clearing a path to escape. Now I need to know if I'm still being pursued. I throw debris to test if enemies know my location. If they're not sure where I am, they'll investigate the noise. Thanks, Ellie. This isn't the best example, but setting up shop with enemies on siege is a great way to give her more targets. You can even use this as a sort of trap. Get caught, have them set up with their backs to Ellie, and then retreat so that you're out of danger and they're in alert mode so Ellie will shoot. As a final lesson for this clip, choose your risks wisely. That was not chosen wisely. I remained at the start during that first clip for illustration purposes, but you can actually run around the perimeter without getting caught while the hunters discuss your body count to date. Keep in mind that running will expose Joel to detection. Keep your ears open for enemy reactions to know when you've been heard. The sniper all the way across the level from Ellie usually won't spot Joel outside of his normal range of perception. However, once the group knows Joel's location, the sniper will hit you from any distance. He makes getting caught a much deadlier situation, so I try to take him out first. Joel is still visible to hunters on the ground even on this catwalk, so don't strangle the sniper as I have here. Wait until you'll both be hidden by the barrier. Now, recall that the hunters' opening conversations last about 1 minute end to end, after which they all actively search for Joel. I think that here is the best spot to occupy by the time they finish those conversations. You have an avenue of retreat with good cover. You can hide inside the second-floor office to catch invaders by surprise. Sieging hunters are open to Ellie's shots, and you have adequate cover with a great view for taking offensive initiative yourself. Since Ellie only fires once you've been caught, being conspicuous is not a bad idea. So good. Most enemies approach this nest from that front catwalk, so it's easy to defend. Next, pay attention to this shot. The hunter on the ground shot at Joel when Joel jumped from the catwalk to this barricaded roof. Since Joel only gave himself away briefly, the hunter will lay siege to the general area rather than to Joel's exact location at all times. Watch where he aims next. He's trying to spook you and flush you out. Gunmen firing from cover will hide between shots. Without someone else watching the area, Joel can flee with less threat of detection. Notice that that guy went down with one hit after Ellie staggered him. You can get the most out of your melee weapons this way. Let's look at a flawed approach to that same nest. I'll start out sprinting as before. This time I don't stop running, and the noise actually catches the attention of the sniper. He's easy enough to handle since he's not equipped for close quarters. But, as you can see, by making myself overly visible, I draw a lot of hunters to this location. Again, I think this is the best place to fortify for this encounter, but you still can't be that reckless on Survivor. One of the advantages of this nest is the availability of a backward retreat onto the ground. Hunters run to occupy that location, thereby weakening my advantage. For some reason, the leg grab maneuver doesn't trigger here, though Ellie helps take out this guy with the Molotov. We'll use this clip to see specifically where she's situated. Watch from whence this man's death descends. Hey, look, she fixed his lumbago. Now that was pretty brief, so we'll locate her perch with the scope. She's taken cover, but Ellie is just to the right of our dot site. To get the most out of her, make sure that that spot has a clear view of whoever is sieging your location. Now let's look at how to retreat from this area. We'll take care of this guy with a shotgun. And now it's pretty obvious that everyone knows where Joel is. Simply drop down behind this truck, and you have your pick of debris to hide behind. We'll wrap up with a full playthrough of this encounter. There are a lot of enemies, and you likely won't be mowing through them. I've found that 10 minutes is a reasonable time to expect it will last. There are other similar spots to fortify, so please don't take this as the definitive or even the best way to handle this encounter. While one of my goals is, of course, to show a way through here, my broader purpose is to demonstrate some of the nuances of the enemy patterns and level design to reach a general understanding of the game's hardest difficulty that's applicable to other scenarios in the game. The low rumbling noise tells me that I'm being perceived, but I only care that I catch the sniper off guard. The others can rush to their death as they please. As we saw in the previous clip, hunters will run to surround my last sighted location. I risk their tracking me if I move to the barricade on top of the truck, and I drew a lot of attention just now. I'm hiding in this room to shake them off my trail. This is an enclosed space with a few different entrances, so the pike is an ideal weapon to craft in order to control this space. This guy goes to where I was, and using this room I can kill him using stealth. I want to control how aware the hunters are of my location. If I'm too conspicuous, they'll overwhelm me, and I am definitely underprepared for that firefight. But I need them curious enough so that they'll come here and so that I can use this area as a trap. I want to whittle them down as much as possible before engaging in the firefight that must inevitably occur. That last hunter knew exactly where in this area I last appeared, so he ran straight there. More time has passed and I've kept a low profile, so this guy is less sure. To take full advantage of the trap that I've created, I need to treat this as a strategic battle rather than an outright battle of arms. That means patiently watching where this guy goes. Got him. At this point, the trap is about to lose momentum. After enough time passes without enemy detection, the hunters will assume that I'm no longer here. They'll return to their normal patrols, and they'll also exhibit a different set of behaviors. When you're clearly killing their fellow hunters, they will not stop to observe dead bodies. If you're killing with stealth, they'll respond with shock and surprise. There we go. Enemies can actually climb onto the barricaded truck, so watch your back. Endure and survive, jerk. I definitely don't want a wall to my back when the hunters show up. Using the level design well here means knowing when and where to fall back so that the enemy is within reach without actually finding you. Watch as Ellie comes through for me.
Kiddo.
Light you up!
Molotov hunters especially can ruin your cover. Back at you. And Ellie takes care of the third beyond my sight. I'm safe again and the trap area is back under my control, so I can relax and let Ellie take out whoever comes running. There we go. And it keeps working. This is not a good sound. It means that a hunter is about to flush you out with a Molotov. Fire here pushes you to the edge of your cover, also not good. When this area gets torched, it's time to retreat. Still not totally safe, but at least they're only throwing approximately. This is not a good position. I have nowhere to retreat. Fortunately, it seems they did not see me run from the truck to the RV. I'm going to regain control of the situation with a distraction. Yeah, check out the mysterious noise. With nowhere to retreat, my goal changes. I need a space that I can control. Therefore, I need out of here, so my new task is to get rid of those guys on the other side of the RV without getting caught. Try for one-hit kills with the bow and arrow as often as possible. You stand a better chance of getting your ammo back. These two guys know that the other went to solve the mystery of the ghostly brick.
Hey! You find anything? You there?
When he doesn't respond, and if Joel's profile is low enough, they'll come to investigate. They're walking close together so we can put that last guy's Molotov to good use. Now, I actually forgot that there might be others nearby and out of my sight when I did that.
Watch my back.
This guy's got armor. He's staggered though, so I take him down with one hit as I rush past. This is where The Last of Us delivers a great experience. I'm low on health with few options. I've lost control of this situation while also having commanded it for the most part. One bad encounter will surely kill Joel, and I need to make a quick tactical decision if I'm going to retain the advantages that I've earned thus far. The stinginess of ammo and crafting materials on Survivor difficulty create an atmosphere that's oppressive and austere, yet not hopeless. It requires that you have at least an intermediate understanding of enemy behavior and an understanding of how to navigate the levels. It requires you to use the minimal resources on hand in an improvised fashion that will have tangible consequences in the future when you need those supplies that likely won't be replenished. It puts the player in a state of tension between the urge to preserve materials for later use and the urge to use those materials to solve one's present problems. You need to consider the value of what you have, consider the significance of the problems at hand, and reach consequential decisions about whether or not the problem merits using those resources. You can actually paint yourself into a corner farther down the line on Survivor difficulty if you do not reserve enough ammo and crafting supplies for those encounters. It's engrossing and demanding. Amid the rich narrative and environmental context, the sense of accomplishment and cautious peace that follows such tension is one of the greatest rewards a game of this type can provide. You had to make responsible, thoughtful decisions, truly the source of existential angst that makes the survivalist genre in any medium meaningful. Even in the confines of a virtual world such as The Last of Us, that feels great. You can typically tell when you're down to the last few enemies when you can't hear them chatter. To keep control of this situation, I'll try a familiar trick. Well, no one's yelling about the bricks, so I guess I'll just go. Hold on a minute.
I see him!
Yeah. Time to circle around and wrap this up. I know that melee hunters will investigate the exact spot where they saw Joel, so I'm hovering around here to see if the final guy is in fact a melee fighter. If so, I can just run up and catch him from the side. That doesn't seem to be the case, though. The music is dwindling, which means that wherever this guy is, he is less likely to rush out and reveal his location. The advantage that I gained from being spotted by my most recent kill is waning. One of the advantages of X-ray vision on normal mode is its ability to tell you how many enemies there are in the environment. If there are two, then they are likely watching different directions and each other's back. The center is a dangerous place for exactly that reason. Many times, in order to get through the last part of this fight, you've got to put it all on the line. I figure that if I can get as near as possible to the position of this guy when he saw Joel, and if he came to investigate this spot, then I should have a good chance of catching him. Oh boy. When I was trying to circle around before, the music kept going even when I was out of his line of sight. At this point, I don't trust that I can sneak up on him. He's out of Ellie's line of sight. I have exactly one bullet left, and I will die in one hit.
All right, come on down.
Well, I hope that some of this helps with your Survivor playthrough. Thank you for watching.